A new day dawns, and Georg finds himself with some free time. He decides to go check up on the unicorn in the prison. While he is down there, he explores a bit and finds a lengthy secret tunnel. After checking up on the unicorn, he returns to his rooms and goes through his new books to see if he finds anything concerning the value of unicorn parts. He finds that several parts are quite valuable, but decides on holding off on telling Baron Song this for a while. Instead, he goes to visit Marjorie and informs her of her family's release. She is very grateful and departs for Thornwood almost immediately. The next day, word reaches the keep of a peasant uprising, which Cal Grella goes to stamp out. But Georg uses the next few days to research and do some work in his own burgeoning laboratory. 3 days later, Georg, using his newly learnt spell of no alignment, determines that his magic amulet has an alignment of chaotic evil. He also receives his first delivery of displacer beast hides from Lance, and true to his word, informs Baron Song of Lance's skill. With plenty of free time, Georg decides to use magic to intensely examine the amulet in an attempt to learn more about its power. But the attempt leaves him unconscious and vulnerable for an extended period of time. When he awakes from his stupor, he is summoned to the dungeons by Lord Song. When he arrives, he finds the Lord and Cal Grella waiting impatiently. The Lord informs him that they caught a burglar and wishes to know if Georg has magical means to interrogate the prisoner. Georg says he may have an item to help and goes to question the prisoner, slipping the paladin's ring on as he goes. Before he sacrifices the would-be thief's soul to the amulet, he learns that the thief was sent by Vanessa, the previous sheriff's sister. The Baron, somewhat unsettled by witnessing Georg feed the amulet a soul, suggests Georg visit her and ask her to become head of the Lord's Information Network. So at night, Georg assumes wraith form and visits her. Fortunately for her, she is amenable to the Baron's arrangement. Georg returns to the keep and investigates who leaked the information in the first place. His investigation points to the cook's assistant being the mole, and the Baron suggests a nice public hanging to set the mood and enforce public loyalty. That night, Georg does an astrology reading on Baron Song and sees a sign of death, though what that means he does not know. When he informs the Baron, he requests that Georg ensure that the mole work alone, which he does, and as a result, the Misty Rapids gets to enjoy a public hanging the next day. The Baron gives the gathered crowd a rousing speech on loyalty, and after the mole did the hemp fandango, Mother Olman steps forward and denounces Georg for a monster, and calls for him to be purified. Georg counters with his own rhetoric before riding off with Baron Song, and his words seem to bite and sway the townsfolk. What dark deeds lie ahead for Georg? Has Georg overtaken Baron Song on the creepiness scale? Will he settle down in Misty Rapids or seek adventure elsewhere? Find out next time on Dicing with Death.
Why, hello there, everybody, and welcome to Dicing with Death. Ryan, how are you doing today?
I am doing well.
Excellent.
How are you doing? Looks like you're in a new place.
Doing quite darkly, indeed.
In the heavens.
Yes.
All hail the light that surrounds us all.
Absolutely. So I have moved, if you guys haven't figured it out yet, again, to Northern California this time. This is the view out my streaming area. It's the Pacific Ocean in the background. If there are any deer in the yard, I might pause the stream and go take a look at the deer with you guys. But until we get the actual lighting set up, I'm going to be pretty backlit today.
It was better a second ago.
Yeah, if I lean forward, yeah, it's a mess. But I think for Dicing with Death, this might actually be the best way to stream like this. So what have you been up to, Ryan?
Not a lot. The quarter/school year is wrapping up, so busy times. But
Any more classes after this, or is this your last set of classes?
I said I was done like a year and a half ago, but I think this is finally the last set of classes.
Ever?
Potentially.
Wow. Cool. Well, why don't we hop into game then? Unless you've got something else to share with us.
I don't think so. And it sounds like you've already started the creepy music, so it looks like we're ready for Dicing with Death.
Yeah. So, where is Carl?
So I don't. We can pick up wherever is convenient for you. I think we ended the session just like galloping away from the hanging.
That's what I thought too.
After the awkward confrontation with Mother Olman.
Yes.
And I think we all just
Head back to the
made our
keep.
way back to the keep, yes.
Sure. You guys make it back to... Oh, right, because you guys were riding back to the keep, and Baron's song said something to the effects of, we don't want to make a martyr out of her.
Yeah. So Georg's pondering what to do about Mother Olman. I don't have much of a beef, but she seems convinced that I need to be purged or repent sins, maybe stripped naked and marched through the streets of Misty Rapids.
Maybe something like that.
I hit level 7, so I think...
Oh, right. Did you
Usually
pick the
head back to
spells
the
that you wanted to learn?
The only 4th level dimension spell is Dimension Door. So I will now be able to teleport, not randomly, but in 2 specified locations.
Excellent.
And a fun little side effect of Dimension Door is if you teleport somewhere that is already occupied by a solid body, you can trap yourself in the astral plane. I don't know if you're quite ready for those hijinks, but this is essentially a cheap workaround of the astral spell, right? Except
Yes.
cheap and unpredictable workaround of the astral spell.
Yes. But since... I mean, you might end up in a... That might be the equivalent of instant death. If you're trapped on the astral plane with no way to survive on the astral plane, and
Do you need special means to survive on the... Well,
I'm
these are
not
questions
sure.
for another day.
yeah, the interplanar stuff has always been uncomfortable for me, and so I've avoided it, which is probably why it stays uncomfortable for me, is because I don't...
Avoided the deep metaphysical questions. Well, you're dealing with a dimensionalist here, so you may need to confront your fears.
We'll start working on interplanar travel eventually. For the meantime, you guys are back in the keep.
Yes. Back in the keep. Am I working on any spells? I don't recall. I am definitely working on my quarterstaff.
You are not working on any
And-
spells.
I have some spell components to craft, including glass needles and tiny horns.
And your staff.
little
If you
miniature-
work on
yeah.
your staff for 3 more days straight, it'll be done.
Okay, so I'm focusing on that. I'll actually probably do the tiny needles first
Okay.
and figure out what I need to do to make miniature trumpets or whatever are required by clairvoyance.
Sure. And what about spells?
Staff. Do we have anything I'm working on?
Nope.
Nope.
You had just learned, I think it was.
Explosive runes?
Yes.
Or maybe it was no alignment.
Explosive runes. No alignment was the one before that.
Oh, let's do Magic Mouth next.
Okay, that is a 2nd level spell.
Yeah.
And your chance to learn is
80%.
80%.
I have never cast my fly spell, as chat points out.
Where would you fly?
I don't know, but that seems like a pretty, like, you learn how to fly. It seems like the first thing you do is go fly, right?
Maybe.
If you, as soon as you learn to fly spell, wouldn't you just step outside that back door and go flying? I imagine that in the process of learning a spell, you cast it, or is that not a thing?
No.
Okay.
So I think you have understood how to fly, but you just haven't tested it. Like, you've built the prototype of the plane, but you haven't sat anyone in it yet.
Okay. And I guess I've already got a lot of projects going on, but another thing, I mean, I've still got Lady Red Shield's enormous library to continue going through.
Yes.
In particular, looking maybe for any hints of her whereabouts, but probably unlikely to be found in her books. None of these are personal. These aren't like notebooks or journals or anything, right? It's all just research materials.
Yes.
Mostly arcane, correct?
Yes.
These are all like the books that went missing from the library.
Yes. Well, I wouldn't call it missing. She was importing books and just happened to selectively pull some away. You didn't get her spell book, did you?
No, she's still got it, I assume.
Yeah.
Unless, if it was in the keep, I probably would have found it, unless I failed some roll somewhere.
You don't have it. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
So staff
So I
being
think
built,
Georg's
Magic
probably
Mouth
killing
being
4 days or so until things are done.
Okay. What are you doing? Do you leave the keep at all during these 4 days? Do you go into town? Do you head anywhere?
I will likely need materials to make miniature trumpets, but I'd probably send a servant into town.
Okay.
Yeah,
you can send servants into town to get stuff.
Yeah, to like purchase like metals or whatever.
Yeah, that's the whole purpose of having servants.
Okay. So no, I doubt I leave the keep during this time.
Okay. So we can pass 1, 2, 3. You're making
I think I just want to make the golden needles first.
How many needles do you want to make?
How many can I make in a short period of time? In like a day?
If you can make, what is it, D6 arrowheads in a day? No, you can make 10 arrowheads a day. I bet you could make 20 needles a day.
Okay.
Right? That seems about fair.
They don't even need to be functional. They just need to be look enough like a needle to trick the gods of magic.
It means they need to be functional needles. The gods of magic are very wise.
Okay. All right. So I spend 20 gold to make 20 golden needles.
Okay. So those get made, and then you skip a few days.
Yeah. So those are the first day, and then it'll be 3 days of straight staff making.
After 3 days of straight staff making and spell studying, your bronze staff is done, and you do learn Magic Mouth.
Nice. Well, at some point I'll tell Lord Song that I have a way to send secret messages, and I guess I've had that for a while that I forgot about. So I do have a bronze staff, or bronze quarterstaff.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. So just go over spells I have currently memorized. We've got Reduce, Detect Magic, Color Spray, Feather Fall, Burning Hands, Deep Pockets, Displace Self, Knock, Conceal Alignment, which let's just say I cast on the amulet every single day. unless
every day you're gonna wake up and cast Conceal Alignment.
yeah, last 24 hours. So unless I tell you that I'm changing, yeah. So
Okay.
unless like I don't have a chance to memorize new spells or what have you, that just takes a spell slot every day.
Interesting.
Blink, lightning bolt, wraith form, and a double dose of dimension door.
Okay.
I need some level 4 spells. I may very well be the most powerful wizard in all the land. I've yet to see a 4th level spell. So we will have to investigate. So we make it 4 days without incident. Nothing is happening.
Yep. Today is the 5th of April. And what do you want to do? You've got your spells learned. You've got your staff made. You've got your spell components made. There was that one woman calling for your death in town, but who really cares about that?
Mother Olman. Actually, can I? Let's see what I would change. I want to show off that magic mouth. So just for today, can I actually I'll skip knock, memorize magic mouth, and send it to Lord Song.
Sure. Can you send magic mouth?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I do. Let's see, magic mouth. Oh, I don't. Can you add that to my list of spells?
Yes.
So I'm thinking I can cast it on a piece of paper and send him a piece of paper that speaks to him. But let's read what
It has been added to your list. With an enchanted mouth that
Chosen
suddenly
object,
appears.
message, which can be 25 words or less. Can be placed upon a tree, rock, door, or any other object, excluding intelligent members of the animal or vegetable kingdoms. Very well. Let's cast it on a piece of paper.
And
I think I want to write on the piece of paper.
so you need some sort of audio or visual trigger.
Spell function. It just says when specific conditions occur.
Scroll down a little
According
bit.
to the command of the spellcaster, to the first creature that touches you, or speak to the first creature that touches you, to the first creature that passes within 30 feet. Speak only when a venerable.
Venerable female human carrying a sack of groat.
Groat clusters. It's cross-legged within 1 foot.
Yeah, so it can be something very specific,
Yeah,
but it needs to be some sort of trigger.
Yeah, so the trigger will be when someone speaks. What's a code word that Georg would like?
Alakazam.
Alakazam. I need. Maybe I'll defer to chat. Or das Lied ist doof. I don't know. I don't speak German. Reptar is good. Yeah, a little too close to home. My first thought was speak Carl when you have some privacy with quotes around Carl.
Mm-hmm.
Although I hope none of the servants accidentally shout Carl on the way there. They probably will, won't they? So let's not do Carl.
Whoever reads this is stupid, is what.
No, but I need to get Lord Song to say it. Let's do snake. Copper snake, is that the symbol of his house?
Yes, something
So
like that.
I'll write on the piece of paper, speak, and in quotes, copper snake, when you are alone. And then I'll cast the magic mouth spell, which will say, I have discovered a way to send messages in secret.
Okay.
So I need a small bit of honeycomb. Can I find that in the kitchens, or is
Yes,
this
you can find that in the kitchens.
okay? And I'll probably stuff a bunch. Oh, copperhead. That's way better than copper snake. I realize this before I write the note,
Sure.
or I write it on another piece of paper.
I think you're
Yeah.
like going down to find the honeycomb
Yeah.
in the kitchen when Copperhead comes to mind. Black Mamba. Psh. I should have been
Yeah.
motherfucking Black Mamba.
And someone in chat was asking for a description of the staff. It is a bronze staff in the likeness of a coiled serpent. So a long spindled serpent with a head and fangs up at the top. It is not. I guess it's a quarter staff, so it's size large, but it's made of bronze, so it's like 4 pounds of bronze is not that long, but I think it's heavy and unwieldy and still acts as a large weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking probably like a 3-foot staff or something like that, more like a walking stick, but when wielded as a weapon, it's kind of like a 2-handed cudgel, or at least you need the second hand to balance yourself when you swing it.
Nice.
Okay. So I send that magic mouth note to Lord Song. Hand it to a servant and say, send this to Lord Song.
All right. Servant takes off looking for Lord Song.
Yeah. I should get myself a seal too.
Yes, you should.
I probably just fold the letter, but need some wax and a seal.
Means you need to come up with a sigil for yourself.
Yeah. Okay. And then I probably just kick it in my laboratory. So, I don't know. Giggling to myself about what Lord Song will think of the magic mouth. What is does the magic mouth look like a specific mouth?
Nope, it's just a pair of lips that go wah 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 wah.
Are they sexy lips? Are they my lips? Are they a snake's lips?
I think that's probably one of the things that you can customize.
Yeah. Is the message spoken in the word of the caster? It doesn't specify, does it?
It just speaks them.
Hmm.
Probably in a voice that is not yours.
Okay.
Although I would say if you want to use your own voice, that would probably work. Otherwise, it comes up with its own magic voice.
I think its own magic voice would be fine. Maybe a hissing snake-like voice, at least for the time being. I have discovered a way to send messages in secret.
Fantastic. So, now what?
I think I hang out, bask in my labor, twirl my cool pimp cane, and decide what's next. So I guess memorize my spells, finished my crafting. I guess I still need to figure out the clairaudience spell components, but that's not that big of a deal at this point. Need to think about making peace with Mother Olman. I'm still supposed to set things up with Lady Dysek. Got a long to-do list that I'm procrastinating on.
Well, which one would you like to start?
Well, I think for now we're just hanging out, and we'll see what Lord Song has to say. Or maybe
Lord
he
Song
doesn't.
visits you later that day. Very pleased that your magic mouth has worked its ways on him. He asks you if this can be sent to anybody or if only to him.
The magic mouth will speak when a specific set of conditions is met. In this case, I instructed it to deliver the message when it heard the specific keyword. But it can also deliver a message when a person or creature of a specific description approaches, or, well, your creativity is the limit. But I think this sort of keyword is the simplest approach to concealing a message. And note that the message can only be delivered the once.
Yes, I see. There is another matter I was hoping to speak with you on.
Of course. Of course, my lord.
Mother Olman.
Yes, I have been meditating on this. Do you have any thoughts?
She has been openly calling for your death in town.
More? Still?
She says that you must be purified under the waters of the sacred river until all the evil has left you, which I am led to believe is her way of saying until you have exhaled all there is in your lungs. She wishes to see you drown. Does this not bother you?
I was just thinking of ways to survive a drowning.
Can you do that?
I don't know, but I don't know that would solve the problem. If I floated away or came back the next day, I think she would. Well, I don't know what she would do.
If you survived her purification ritual and came out living, why, my dear Georg, I did not even think that would be possible.
Oh shit! Hold on, I didn't say that it would.
If you could manage this, we could voluntarily offer you up for purification. Then when you come out the other end, intact like no one has ever done before, why, Carl, that might put you above Mother Olman in the eyes of the people.
Do you not have philosophical misgivings about these purification rituals? Why is it that Kelgreller never eats the good berries or accepts the holy water?
I think Greller and Olman have come to an agreement, an unspoken agreement.
I don't know if I can cast a spell underwater. I definitely can't.
Could you not cast a spell beforehand?
I don't know. Dimension Door only requires verbal command. How does this purification ritual go? You leap into the river and...
They wade into the river with you and push you under the water until you stop moving.
I don't know if this is something I will have a way out of. Escape. Those tricks are my specialty, but breathing underwater, I think this is a matter for priests. level is water breathing?
I have duties to attend. There seem to be some issues with Countess Nina. He turns on his heel and leaves.
I guess I'm curious what's going on in Thornwood, but I don't bother to pry. I'm trying to. Water breathing is a 3rd level alteration spell.
It is.
I could get my hands on that spell, actually. That could be pretty quick, but wouldn't know where to get it. And you can't research spells that already exist, correct?
You can research spells that already exist, but you cannot research spells that already exist in attempt to, like if you fail them, to learn, you can't research it to get another chance to learn it.
So maybe I'll start thinking about that with this free day. I'll go back. I mean, this is when I guess I'll dig into the library, looking for information on water breathing. And if anything comes up that may give me a hint as to the whereabouts of Lady Redshield, that would be nice too.
I guess the spell research is in the DMG.
Yeah, I think it takes a long time and a lot of money, which I don't have.
I think most of the money is for building the library. There you go, magic. Spell research. Research time. For research time requires the character to be in good health. Further, he must refrain from adventuring while undertaking the study. During research, wizards study over old manuscripts and priests work their devotions. The minimum amount of time needed to research a spell is 2 weeks per spell level.
So we're talking 6 weeks. And the cost, 100 to 1,000 GP per spell level. The DM can choose the actual cost or determine it randomly.
Okay. So
I guess that's what I start doing. I mean, this is the first day of spell research. I don't know if I imagine things might come to a head before the 6 weeks are up, but I will. I think this is the beginning of the research process, is pouring through the library that I have and see if there's any mention of wizards that may have cast it. I mean, that could actually be a shortcut if I find a name of a wizard who has water breathing.
okay.
There's also Lasting Breath, the 1st level spell. But that only lasts a couple rounds.
I think for your research, you will need to spend 200 GP per spell level for this one. So 600 GP total and 6 weeks.
Okay. Jesus, that's like all the money I have. Does that GP go anywhere? Or is that like, what is that spent on? Like, does that mean more books get added to the library? Does that mean...
I think it's probably a few books get added, and then you're getting various spell components to try and test things. So, you buy a bunch of fish heads to try and, work out if that's maybe a component that you want to use, or you buy some scales of a naga to see if that's a worthwhile component, and
Little did I know, the material components for the spell is a short reed or a piece of straw.
Turns out they're cheap, but there's costs. Sending messengers here and there to gather information and request things. We can gloss over most of the details. We might go into a few of them. But I think there are people that you send about to gather information and bring back items, and you know, buy a lot of medieval energy drinks to stay up with those late nights.
Sure. Okay, so I guess that will be plan A.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's keep going ahead a few days then. Let's just start. I think now that you're 7th level, I think we're going to start entering a different phase of this campaign where also, you've kind of wrapped up a lot of the bigger picture stuff, where we will probably be burning through game time a lot faster and skipping weeks and sections, maybe even months.
I am a dimensionalist after all. What is time to one like me?
All right, so let's skip ahead a few more days.
Yes.
So, 3 days later, it is Thursday, the 7th of April, 1509. You've woken one day. The servants have brought you, awoken you to come down for breakfast. As you make it downstairs into the Great Hall, Baron Song is seated, the soldiers are seated, Kel Greller and Kel Crystal are seated. The servants have their own table far off to the side that is prepped for as soon as you are done with their meal for them to eat. When the front door opens with a bang and a pale-faced priest stands before you. Not a cleric, a priest. One of the other guys in town.
Do we recognize? Is this
I don't
Father
think you
Nem?
recognize him.
Nem?
Brother Nem.
Brother Nem? Is this Brother Nem?
It is. If you've met him before, you recognize him.
I don't know. I'm not sure if I have met him. Maybe I've seen him. I certainly would recognize the name.
His face is pale. He's covered in sweat. Well, I mean, his cheeks are red, but everything else is quite pale. He's covered in sweat. He leans over on his hands and knees, panting, and looks up and goes, Chimera! Chimera's in town. It landed on the first falls, and it started ripping it to shreds and setting it on fire, and... Baron Song, do something!
Chimera. I stand to my feet. Have I heard of this creature?
Probably, through legend and lore. A creature with the head of a lion, the head of a dragon, the head of a goat, all mixed into a strange monster with the tail of an eel, the hindquarters of a goat, the wings of a bat, the front of a lion.
Yes, a magical construct, correct?
Once upon a time. God knows how these things escaped and bred in the wild, but they're here now.
2 chimeras in 1 week. What are the chances?
Spoilers.
Not
But
really.
yes, what are the chances indeed?
Uh-oh. Did we lose him?
Lose who?
Oh, you there?
I'm
was that
here.
me or was that you?
I don't know, but we're still here.
Okay. All right. Let me check something. Deep pocket takes... Okay.
The hall's quiet. Baron Song looks to Kel Griller and then to Kel Crystal. He gets up, pushes his chair back, and says, well, I believe we have the men and women right for this job. Kel Griller, would you lead our... He takes a glance at you and notices you kind of sitting there nervously, maybe?
Maybe that's what it looks like. I think I'm like probably muttering to myself under my breath as I like go through my memory of everything I know about chimeras. So I'm probably a little spaced out and muttering.
Griller, why don't you lead the party to deal with this?
Yes. I'll be there in 10. And I think I rush off to get my things without hearing any more discussion.
As you leave, you can hear over the sound of your footfall on the stone, Kel Greller ordering his men to get his armor and his weapons and to do the same for Kel Crystal. She'll be coming with him as well.
I do the magely equivalent, although I don't have squires. So I go through the 10 minutes it takes to cast my deep pockets and load up all of my spell components and extra quarterstaves and crowbars and whatever random tools I've got into my deep pockets.
Mm-hmm.
So 10 minutes, that's probably about how long it takes them to put on plate mail, correct? If they haven't already armored up.
Something like that.
Between getting plate mail and saddling horses.
Mm-hmm.
I assume we all convene in the.
Everyone meets up in the courtyard about 10 minutes later.
Me on my dinky little riding horse, wishing I had memorized a phantom steed.
All right, everyone's out there. Kel Greller and Kel Crystal are seated atop horses. It looks like there are four more horses behind them with soldiers. The rest of them are staying behind to keep an eye on the keep, make sure that the chimera doesn't come this way.
Well, I look to Greller. What's the plan, Chief? Probably quiet enough so that the men can't hear.
These things fly, you know. It's not as simple as hacking it apart with a sword. We need to lure it into range of our weapons. They say the dragon head can breathe fire.
Terrifying.
Yes. Crystal, why don't you and I take up opposite ends of the street and hopefully get it to come after one of us, then the other can come up from behind and get it from both sides. He looks to you with narrow eyes. What tricks do you have up your sleeve, sorcerer?
Many tricks, though I would need another day to prepare you to fly.
Witchcraft and wizardry is all fine and good. But if you are not ready to fight on any given day, what practical use is it?
I know what I'm about. Just as you are an expert in the sword, I am very good at what I do. Come, let us ride.
All right. The gates open, and the 7 of you ride out towards town.
So there's 4 men-at-arms? Or 4
men-at-arms, Kel Greller, Kel Crystal, and yourself.
The men are mounted?
Men are mounted. Mm-hmm. Okay. You guys ride on into town. You can hear actually, you don't hear the bells. Brother Nem is with you, and he mentions that the bells have stopped. I wonder what that means.
Perhaps it has attacked the church. I look up the hill.
You don't see anything yet.
Main temple.
You can't see the main temple from where you are yet. You'll be able to see it in like another quarter mile or so, half mile or so.
In any case, that seems like a good place to get a view.
Mm-hmm.
And regardless of what the rest of the party does, I think I start up the hill to the main temple.
Okay. The others continue along the road that comes in near the Temple of Purification. You ascend the hill. You make it to the main temple. You
Alone? Or did the party follow?
They did not follow. They went their own way.
Okay.
You make it up here to find the steeple toppled, stones having crushed bodies down on the ground around it. A few people that look like they've been ripped apart by a wild animal, but no sign of the chimera when you approach the main temple.
I think I quickly dismount and run into the temple without really thinking.
All right. Inside, you find a few civilians and some priests in training who are tending to them. They look badly wounded.
Did the beast descend upon you?
The youngish girl who's training as a priestess nods and says,
From where?
We rang the bells and it came and it toppled the towers. And
I look up. Is there a giant hole in the roof where the bell tower was?
yeah, it's kind of collapsed and fallen over, and there's blocks having fallen into the main chamber. You can see the sky through where the tower's supposed to be.
Where did it go? I look out the door, scanning the village below.
Back to town. At this point, I think you catch sight of the beast. It is sitting on top of the Temple of Order over near the Noble District, just to the bottom of the hill, the Fog View Inn.
All right. I get back on my horse and start riding down the hill. Are these steps up the main temple, or are those...
Yes, they're stairs.
Was I able to ride a horse adjacent to the stairs or something up to the top, or...
You can ride horses up and down stairs, or you can ride on the hill adjacent to them. It matters not.
Okay.
But as you work your way down the hill, you see Kel Greller coming this way along this road, the main road through town. And you spot Kel Crystal coming over here this way.
Where are the mounted men-at-arms?
Each one of them has 2 men-at-arms behind them.
Right. I shout to Kel Greller, "The Temple of Order!"
It appears he's too far away to hear you, or he doesn't pay you any mind.
Yeah! I whip the horse and continue shouting the Temple of Order as I ride to rejoin with Kel Greller.
You rejoin with him at the base of the Fog View Inn. He's set up right here, whereas Kel Crystal and her men are set up over here.
How far are we from the Temple of Order?
200 yards.
Can I see the...
You can indeed see the chimera. It has perched on the roof. It has a few corpses up there with it, which it seems happily to be munching on. The temple roof is 25 feet in the air. Maybe not 25 feet in the air, maybe 20 feet in the air. The streets are all but deserted. Occasionally you see someone poking their head out of a window.
Georg's muttering to himself, doing calculations, trying to gauge the distance and calculating trajectories of lightning bolts. And what is Greller doing? Are him and the men just sort of squaring up in the street?
Greller is watching the creature from his horse, very carefully eyeing it. You're vaguely aware of a fire on the other side of town. You saw it from the main temple, but I think your mind was focused on the chimera instead.
That's fine. We'll deal with that later. Well, I look to Greller with an inappropriate grin, perhaps too excited given the situation. I think I dismount from my horse.
Okay. Greller asks one of his men to hand him his bow.
Don't you need to be closer?
He continues to ignore you. Someone passes him a bow and a quiver of arrows.
I start rummaging through my pockets for my Displacer Beast leather.
Okay. And then Kel Greller starts to slowly walk his horse down the road. Actually, no, he's got a longbow. He'll need to dismount his horse. One of the other soldiers takes it, and he begins to walk down the road towards the temple.
I walk beside him.
Okay. From the other side, you see Kel Crystal. She doesn't have a bow. She keeps her... What is it? She has a cool weapon, doesn't she? No, she draws her longsword and starts making her way towards the temple.
I turn to Greller and I say, if this dragon head can truly breathe fire, perhaps we should keep some distance.
Run and hide, wizard.
And miss this. These creatures are a legend. I didn't know they were still making them. When we get to within about 100 yards or so, we'll probably stop before then. Well, let me check my lightning bolt range.
Do you have lightning bolt memorized?
I do. 40 yards, so 110 yards. So I'll cast my displaced self just before reaching 110 yards. I don't know when Greller's going to stop and start shooting arrows, though.
Kel Greller will stop and start shooting at 140 yards. No, 100 yards, actually.
Okay, so about the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I think just before we reach that 100-yard mark, I pull out my strip of Displacer Beast leather and displace myself.
He takes another few steps,
Yeah,
draws
so
back the bow, takes a look at Kel Crystal to make sure that she's ready.
I pause. Yeah, so I paused about 10 yards behind where Kel Greller is setting up.
Mm-hmm.
Displace myself, so I'm now, I think, flickering in and out of space. Or is it, I just appear 2 feet away from where I actually am? I don't know how it looks.
I think you just appear in a different spot than you actually are.
Okay, so if someone looking at me wouldn't necessarily see... What do you see when you see a Displacer Beast?
You see a Displacer Beast. You just don't see it in the right spot.
Okay. All right, so I guess that's me. So that's a minute. So maybe Kel Greller gets his shot off first.
He takes a few steps forward. He's waiting for Kel Crystal to give him the sign to go ahead. Your spell
Okay.
goes off, and in the start of the next round, Kel Greller looses an arrow.
Just as I pull out an amber or a glass rod and loose my own bolt.
And we will enter combat on the other side of our break. See you guys in a minute. Bye-bye.